class, and welcome to lesson 3.5 on dividing multi-digit numbers. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to match the terms. The term dividend, divisor, and quotient. So on your paper, I want you to define these terms, match them up with the correct numbers. Eduardo, which one is the dividend? Which number is my dividend, Eduardo?
80.
So he says the dividend is 80. What do we think, you guys? Do we agree? What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? We're getting a lot of thumbs up and a lot of thumbs down. Let's see, Vahe, what do you think? Which one do you think?
I think the dividend is 240.
He says 240. Let's see, thumbs up, you guys, or thumbs down? Thumbs up or thumbs down? He is correct. It is 240. Now, I actually mess these terms up all the time, and so that's why I wanted to go over it. I mess these two up all the time. Okay, Amelia, which one is the divisor then?
80 is the divisor.
80 is the divisor, exactly. Notice that the two at the bottom are dividend and divisor, right? So then Camilla, as we know, which one's the quotient?
3.
3 is our quotient. What does the quotient mean? Do you happen to know what the definition of quotient is?
Quotient means the answer to a division problem.
Excellent. She just said quotient means the answer to a division problem. Nice full sentence and perfect explanation. Excellent. So make sure you guys have this in your notes. So let's look at this. This is how we see it in long division form. But there are 3 different ways that we would see it. We would see it in, just like what we did, our long division form. We would see it written out just like normal division. And we also see it written like a fraction. So there are many different ways that you will see this. If you notice something, that division sign is just a placeholder for a fraction. So just like we have that fraction here, we have that same thing for the division sign. And notice that our first fraction will go here on the top. Or our first number, our first integer will go there on the top. And our second integer goes on the bottom in our placeholder for the division sign. So all that division sign is it's a placeholder for you to know where to put the numbers. That division sign is exactly the same as a fraction. And when we simplify, we get the exact same answer. So that's why I really wanted you guys to know these terms. I want you to go to page 215 in your math book, but it's also here on my screen. When you are at rest, it takes about 60 seconds for a single blood cell to travel around your body and back to your heart. In 120 seconds, how many times does a single blood cell travel around your body and back to your heart? So I want you guys to figure out which one's the dividend, which one's our divisor, and which one's the quotient. Which one's the dividend, which one's the divisor, and which one's the quotient. Vahe, which one's gonna be the divisor in this case?
60.
He says 60. Which one's gonna be the dividend in this case?
120.
And then based on that, what's our quotient?
2.
What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do we agree? Thumbs up or thumbs down? What do we think? Yeah, thumbs up, you guys. Exactly. I want to see that more participation, but yeah, thumbs up. So the way that we know this, and let's just think about this intuitively. The way that we know it is if it takes 60 seconds for it to go around, for that to go around once, the single blood cell, I don't know, and it takes 120 seconds, that's twice as long. So we want our answer to be 2. We want our answer to be 2. So we have to think about what we would divide to get our quotient to equal 2. Now, this is the next one. Camilla's target heart rate should be about 200 beats per minute. Estimate the number of times Camilla's heart will beat in 1 second if her heart is working at this rate. Camilla, how many seconds are in 1 minute? 60 seconds in 1 minute, which means that your heart beats 200 times in 60 seconds. If you estimated that, how much would your heart beat in approximately 1 second? For estimating. What we're doing is we're thinking of a good number close to 200 that's divisible by 60? So Camilla says 3. Exactly. It's going to be, as I'm writing in highlighter, 3. What number did you pick that gave you a really good estimate? What number did you pick for 200 that gave you a really good estimate?
I picked 180.
180. She's completely right here. We're looking at this and we want to find out a number that's easily divisible by 60. Do we know 200 divided by 60 off the top of our heads? No. I don't even know 200 divided by 60 off the top of my head. So I'm going to think and I'm going to go, okay. What number is close? And then I'm just curious, and Gio wrote this too. Gio, is her actual heart going to beat more than 3 times in 1 second or less than 3 times in 1 second, Gio?
Up?
Yeah, it's going to beat more than 3 times per second. And how do we know, you guys? Who can tell me how we know that our heart is actually going to beat a little bit more than 3 times per second? Does anybody know? I'm going to call on Pearson. As Gio said, it's going to be higher. Her actual heartbeat's going to be higher. And we know this because we had to round down. When you round down, your actual answer is going to be bigger. When you round up, your actual answer is going to be smaller. And I know I see Vahe making a face like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But let's think about that just for a second. Let's think about that.
I'm just confused.
So in an explanation, let's say I was trying to divide 110 into 25 groups. I can't do that automatically in my head. So I'm going to pick a good number that's divisible by 100, or that's divisible by 25. So not that 110, that's not divisible. What would be a good number, Pearson?
100.
100. So yeah, a great number would be 100 divided by 25. And I'm going to get 4. If I did the actual math, I would get 4 4/10. Because I rounded down, my answer is down. So my actual answer is going to be higher because my actual number is higher. So when we round up and down, think about that. I want you guys to try these 2 problems for me. So I want you guys to try these 2 problems. So for what we're doing here, all I want you to do is long divide. All I want you to currently do is long divide. Joshua's mic's not working, so we're going to do it in the chat. Joshua, which one goes, where does the 351 go? Is it going inside the house or is it going outside the house, Josh? Perfect. So he says it goes inside the house. Based on that, since we don't have our answer, the 9 is going to go outside the house. Joshua, what did you get as your answer? What did you get as your answer? So for the answer for the first one, Camilla wrote, we get 39. Yes, 9 goes into 35 a total of 3 times. Oops, as I'm writing 3 there. And that would be 27. So I subtract that and I get a total of 8. I bring down my 1. 9 goes into 81 9 times. My answer is 39. Now, this next one, I know I gave Sophie, she did the first part, but what I want is I want to do this because this one's hard. So, 33 does not go into 8, but it does go into 87 2 times, and that's 66. I subtract and I get 21. I have to bring down my 8. 33 goes into 218, a grand total of 6 times. This would just be practice. We would get 198. We would get 198. So when I subtract that, I get 20. I have to put a decimal there, you guys, because we finished. Remember, we've done that before. How many times does it go into 200? So now we try to figure out how many times it goes into 200. And we find out that, again, it goes in 6 times. That's 198. I subtract, and I get 2. I bring down my 0. It goes into 20 0 times. I bring down another 0. Hey, wait. Do you guys see anything? Do you guys notice anything? Jackson, what do you notice?
Once we first did the thing, it was 20 minus 180, and then there's a 198
Yeah. Yeah, so we noticed that it's repeating. Here's a 200, there's a 200. So I know that my answer is gonna be 26 and 60 hundredths repeated forever. So we put a line over it. We're gonna talk about this. Terminating decimal and repeating decimal. What do you think terminating decimal means? What do you think terminating decimal? Lucas, what does terminating decimal mean?
I think a terminating decimal means like you can just like meaning would be like it's kind of like how you wrote the chart like with the must memorize and adds like the line like
yeah.
It has the line over it, which means like it just keeps on repeating.
Exactly. Terminating means it ends. So for example, like that. It doesn't go on. A repeating decimal, as such, it's gonna keep repeating. Such as the ones that we've seen on our chart that I made us do. Or, as we just saw, like that. What do we do to signify that it goes on forever? What do we do to signify that it goes on forever? Pearson, what do we do?
I'm not sure if we do the line on the bottom of when it does it or on the top.
We do the line on the top. And we do it only over the decimals that keep repeating. So a repeating decimal, it's the same numbers that just keep repeating. The terminating decimal ends. We get down, we solve, we get to a 0. There are no repeats. So just like this first one, what we did is we got down to a 0. Terminating decimal. The second one, we got down to a repeating. We have that same thing, 200 repeated. So it's a repeating decimal. We use estimation to check our work. So for example, 351. What's a good number, 351, that's divisible by 9? So think of a good number close to 351 that you know is divisible by 9. Remember my nines trick is that if you can get the digits to add up, like a good close one, what do we think? Think about something in math, maybe with smaller numbers. What do we think maybe with smaller numbers? Yes?
I was going to say 300.
300? Good number, not divisible by 9 though. Let's think of something even closer that's divisible by 9.
Say 400 maybe?
We're going to think of one. Jackson, what do you think?
350?
360 is going to be divisible. 36 is divisible by 9, you guys, right? What is 36 divided by 9? Show me on your fingers. What is 36 divided by 9? Show me on your fingers. Yeah, my couple people showing me. It's 4. So 360 divided by 9 is 40. Hey, my previous answer was 39. Is that good estimation that we found out? Yeah, we found out these answers are really close to each other. What about this one? Like I said, is I want to change my mind here. What's a good number that is divisible by 33? Or let's even make it something. I'm going to change both of them. What's a good number for both of them that's divisible by 30? 878. What's a good number divisible by 30? Amelia, yes.
Oh, it's not an answer. I have a question.
Yes, Camilla says it's 900 divided by 30. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 90 divided by 30 is 3. So 900 divided by 30 gives me 30. I look back at my answer and I found out that my answer is 26 and 6 tenths continue, or 60 hundredths continuing forever. That's pretty close to 30. So that's showing us that our estimate is doing really well. So I want you guys to try with these ones. I want you guys to try first where you're gonna do the division, and then you're gonna check your work by picking a number that's really good at dividing them by. So a good estimate number. So I want you first to do the long division, and then I want you to pick a number that they're divisible by. So I'm gonna set up this problem. As we know, we put the 768 on the inside and the 8 on the outside. So let's go through this, Cynthia. How many times does 8 go into 7? Does it go in?
0 times.
0 times. I don't need to write that 0, but I do it anyway. Do you happen to know how many times 8 goes into 76 without going over?
8 times.
8 times, or 8 times, not 8 times almost. What is it? I'll give you a hint. One more.
9 times.
9 times. We get 72, and now I'm going to have you do the rest. We subtract and we get 4. And there. Can you tell me how many times 8 goes into 48? Excellent. 6 times. That's 48. We get 0. Is this a terminating or repeating decimal? We're going to do terminating or we're going to do repeating. I know it's weird. So we're going to say, is it terminating or repeating? I don't know. Terminating, thumbs up. Repeating, thumbs down. Terminating, thumbs up. Repeating, thumbs down. Terminating decimal. It's a terminating decimal. We got down to the 0. We're done. Excellent. Hannah, how far have you gotten in this one? It's hard. So for this one, we're just going to go through it together. 16 does not go into 3. 16 goes into 31 one time. It goes into it one time. And that's a grand total of 16. I subtract, I get 15. 158. Just by knowing our math, just by doing our practice, we're going to know that 16 happens to go into 158 9 times. It's 144. Don't worry, we're going fast here, but take your time on the homework. So here, what we get down to is when we subtract 158 minus 144, 14. I have to add my decimals. I bring down my 0. Now we know it only goes in 8 times because we know 144 was 9 times. 144 was 9 times, so we get 128. I subtract that and I get 12. I bring down my 0. I bring down my 0. And then I have to find out how many times does it go into 120. We already know at 128 it's 8, so it's now 7. At 7, that would make it 1, let me see as I'm thinking in my head, 12. We subtract, we get 8. Keep going with our zeros, and it goes into 80 5 times. That's exactly 80. So we get a 0. Terminating, repeating. Terminating, repeating. What do we think? Thumbs up for terminating, thumbs down for repeating. It's a terminating decimal. We got down to a 0. So we got our decimals. If we estimated these, which I don't like this estimation, so don't worry. A good number to divide 8 by, a good number is 800. In which case we would get the answer 100. That's close to 96. A good answer here would be 320. If we divided it by 320, we would get 20 as our answer. That's a reasonable estimate. So with these estimates, like I said, it would have been 800 divided by 8, which is 100. It would have been 320 divided by 16, which is going to equal 20. Don't worry about the estimation, you guys. Don't worry about the estimation. I want you guys to try these problems. Just long division wise. Just long division wise, okay? Lucas asked a great question. How do we do the long divide? We just put the numbers where they belong. And then divide. Bada bing, bada boom. So we're going to look at these together for time's sake. 75 does not go into 6, does not go into 64, but it does go into 649. I like to think in terms of quarters and how many quarters I get for money. Eduardo, do you happen to have the answer?
I have a question.
Eduardo actually asked a great question. He said those 2 zeros, do you put them in the quotient? No, they're not important. I just put them there for funsies. Gio wrote in the chat, it goes in, yes, 8 times. It goes in 8 times. That's 600. So I'm left with 49. I bring down my 3. So I bring down my 3 now. When I'm now dividing that, I want to figure out how many 75s fit in there. I find out that it's 6. I find out that it is 6. And I like to think, like I said, with the 75s, 25s, all of those, I like to think about it in terms of money. I find out that's 450. I subtract and I get 43. Now I made my 0, I had to put a decimal. 430. Hey, we already know that it's 450 for 6. So it can't be that much. So we know that it has to be 5. And that would give us 375. We subtract, we get 55. Bring down another 0. We know at 600, it's at 8. So we have to go back down to 7. We know it's going to be a 7. And 75 times 7 would give us 525. I'm going to keep shrinking this. I'm going to make it because we're getting small. We subtract and I get 25. I bring down my 0. I know it goes into 250 3 times. Don't worry, I know I'm doing this fast. I know because we're doing this so that we can review it for the homework. And that's 225. I subtract that and I get 25. Hey, does anybody notice something? Kayla, do you happen to notice something? What? Oh, to do the next one? Does anybody notice anything? Delaney, do you notice anything?
You didn't bring down the decimal?
Well, true, I did bring down the 0 later, but yes, that is something good. Jackson, what do you notice?
250, 250. Repeating decimal.
It keeps repeating, right? So we see it keeps repeating. That 3 is the one that keeps repeating, so I just put a line over the 3. So Delaney, what did you get as the answer for the other one?
Was I supposed to answer?
I thought you wanted to answer the second one.
I did.
Oh, I'm wrong, Michaela. What'd you get for the second one?
I got 4.
4 is the correct answer, so she is absolutely correct. It's kind of annoying because it goes in 0, 0, 0, and then we have to figure it out on our own. So it goes in 4 times, and it is exactly, so it's our terminating decimal. We don't even have a decimal. What about for these ones, you guys? I want you to try these ones, okay? I actually skipped that slide. I want us to do this one, you guys. To promote its opening weekend, a water park gave the local middle school 1,050 free tickets. The middle school has 350 students. Each student will receive the same number of tickets. How many tickets will each student receive? So we set this up. We know that we're splitting the amount of tickets among the amount of students. So I want you guys to figure this out. For those of you who've solved it, put it on your fingers. Show me how many fingers our answer is. Show me how many fingers our answer is. Yes, this is our answer, Brian. What is our answer for this problem? 3. Each student will receive 3 tickets. Let's look at this big problem. Don't worry, it's a good one. Let's look at this big problem. So let's set it up. We know the first number, not the bigger one, it doesn't matter. The first number goes inside the box, and the second number goes outside the box. So Michaela, what did you get as your total answer?
I got 1,248.
She is correct, 1,248. Goes in 0 times into 5. It goes in 1 time into 54. We get 10. We bring it down here. It goes into 2 times. That's 88. We subtract that. We get 21. I bring down my 1. It goes in 4 times. That's 176. I'm going to move this up because I run out of room every time. We subtract that. We get 35. I bring down my 2. And it goes into 352 exactly 8 times. So it is a terminating decimal. I want you guys to go to guided practice on page 218. And we're going to do these problems together. So there's the 5 problems.
Basically just division.
So for your homework, you're going to do page 219, numbers 1 through 12. But I want you to change numbers 4 and 5 to these instead of what's in the book. So that's what your homework is.